from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good morning. I am forecaster John Bordash, still rocking out here in the JB Weather Center. We are going on hour 5 of live coverage of our winter storm as we see snow giving way to lots of sleet across the region with temperatures that are hanging out down in the teens. If you're able to hear me and things seem okay on your end, let me know before we get too far ahead of things. We know that we've had just a couple of issues the last couple of days with our updates, but as we wait for that and assuming everything is good to go, as we take a look at radar right now, you would assume that we are looking at a pretty big blizzard across the region given all the snow that is showing up. But actually a decent bit of this is actually falling as snow that is mixed with sleet or predominantly sleet. And we'll be taking a look at that here this morning. And it's good to see everybody's able to hear and see it. We love to see it. Danielle's reporting 4 inches of snow in Prince Frederick. We love to see it. Woke up to an inch in some spots as well. Before we actually get into radar, what I can do is show you kind of what some of these latest snow reports are looking like. I just updated this graphic not too long ago, and we can see that a general 2 to 4 inches of snow have fallen. I've gotten some rogue reports with people saying things such as like, I'm in Mechanicsville and I only have an inch. Not to discredit people, but just the data doesn't necessarily point to that. I would definitely encourage you go out with not just use your eyes, but go out with a ruler and take a few measurements. We've gotten 4-inch reports of snow from places such as Hughesville and Prince Frederick, 3-inch reports out near the plate of 3.5 as you get towards Pomfret and Pittsburgh this morning. DC, you're waking up with 4 to 6 inches of snow, definitely more as you head to the west, and even reports of at least 2 inches all the way down as far south as Ridge. And these are confirmed by the National Weather Service. So there are definitely going to be the potentials for some rogue reports out there. Maybe your one house didn't see as much, but that doesn't necessarily discredit what has fallen so far. And despite messaging the last couple of days, a few people upset that they're not seeing 17 inches of snow, which, again, what can you do? But this is generally kind of what we're looking at this morning. And I think generally south of DC, this might be all that you see out of this storm in terms of snow totals. Again, a general 2 to 4 inches, locally higher amounts have fallen south of DC. We saw snow break out around midnight, and it's been going on through about 6 o'clock this morning, and over the last 2 hours, we've seen that battle with sleet begin to move to the north here. Taking a look back over at William Richmond in TrueView radar this morning, sitting at 829, and for those of you just joining, good morning. We are seeing that snow transition to sleet region-wide, and we know that our radar is going to be having a little bit of a difficult time kind of pinpointing specific precipitation types throughout this storm, as the differences between snow, sleet, and freezing rain just get so minute with how much warm air is lofted about 10,000 feet above our heads. One tool that I do want to show you quick is our correlation coefficient tool. And I want to make sure I get things loaded up here so it makes the most amount of sense. I don't mean to get too technical on you all and really throw a whole bunch of meteorology at your way. I want to get a couple things loaded here so that this makes sense. Let's get the correlation coefficient banner loaded up. All right. So what this version of radar is showing is generally what is falling, and with what is falling, what is similar and what is dissimilar. Radar can show us a lot of different things, and one of the things it's able to show us is kind of the shapes of things that are falling in the atmosphere. When things are roughly the same shape, they are similar items, they're going to register here as red, and that will tell us that we're generally looking at either all snow or all rain. When we start to get some of these yellows and oranges and greens that pop up, those are more dissimilar items. That means you're looking at a mixture of shapes in the atmosphere, such as snow and sleet, or snow, sleet, and freezing rain. And we've been watching this move north throughout the day. I don't know how far back my radar is going to let me show this to you. It doesn't seem too far, but what I want you to notice, there you go. You can see that at 6 a.m. this morning, we saw the leading edge of the dissimilar line that would indicate, that sleet line generally kind of hugging the area that away, where everything down here was primarily sleet and you had primarily snow north. And again, this is not current, right? That is what we were looking at this morning at 6 a.m. while many of you were sleeping, but my nerdy self was up tracking the snow. Again, going strong since just about 3 this morning. If we play this forward, though, what you will see is just watch that area of yellow. It creeps north, and it's not everything, but seeing it on the edges here is like up here and over here tells you we probably connect it like this, and that is generally your sleet. So we want to take a look and track those edges there. And what we can see as we push forward here, that sleet line has been moving to the north and now has cleared all the way up to Frederick, Maryland. I will say that this sleet has definitely begun a bit earlier than I would have expected to the north. To the south, this was kind of right on cue, kind of thinking that 6 to 8 o'clock time frame. But I was thinking 8 to 10 o'clock, maybe getting up towards DC. But now we are looking at pretty much widespread sleet as far north as Frederick and Annapolis. And honestly, I would maybe call this snow with some sleet, and then you are looking at pure sleet and icy mix kind of right down through this region, through southern Maryland in the northern neck. And if we were to try to pin this up a little bit with current radar, let's zoomed in maybe a little too much there. Let's try to get this back over to reflectivity mode. And that's kind of reflected here. What is really falling as sleet is showing up as snow, but it's that snow sleet mix. So definitely, I know we're getting in the weeds here, rather technical. I just want to make sure that we're keeping all of our ducks in a row here, because this it can get confusing and when we're in the midst of a storm like this, because just so much is going on. Let's update that banner again, and we can see temperatures this morning, they are in the teens. Folks, if there is rain falling outside your window, it is not raining, it's freezing rain. I mean, Ocean City is at 34 degrees with ocean influence, but we are a far way away from that. I mean, look at Salisbury, 21, Georgetown, Delaware, 21. So even areas that are all of maybe 10 to 15 miles inland from Ocean City still have temperatures in the low 20s. So we are a far way away from being above freezing. And for those of you, kind of projecting that you are expecting this to be an all rain event, if you see rain, we are a far way away from that, honestly. We are going to need to warm these temperatures up much more. We are about, 13 to 14 degrees away from seeing a true rain event for parts of southern Maryland. And honestly, even if we were to warm to 34 degrees, our surfaces are just so cold. Think of elevated surfaces. Your car is cold. The deck is cold. The roads even are cold at this point. But even if it were to be rain, it is going to freeze almost instantly. It will take a while, and we're not going to be above freezing all that long. I do want to get you over to Cedar Point Federal Credit Union Future View. Latest run coming in. Time banner not necessarily working, but that is okay. This is right about now, and it shows where that general area of sleet is. Again, I'm not sure that I buy that it really is this far south. I think it is definitely pushed north of DC, given reports. But let's use this as a tool. This is 8 o'clock. Let's bring it on over to, and I should have let this kind of buffer itself through. My apologies. This is 9 o'clock, getting towards 10 o'clock. We see that sleet really is the predominant precipitation type. This dark blue line here would represent temperatures of 32 degrees. We see that it's beginning to snake back towards Salisbury, but again, I'm very hesitant to say that ground temperatures will warm up much above freezing. To the north, Harrisburg, York, Hagerstown, Winchester, Baltimore, northern Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, you are looking at snow continuing to hang on. Continuing to push this forward, so if we have 8, 9, 10, now 11 o'clock, let's get towards the lunch hour. This is noon. That sleet line is well up towards Pennsylvania, and I tend to think this might even be up towards York and Lancaster. But you've seen snow up that way. This is looking like an all-out sleet fest. The thing here, if your snowfall forecast bus, which mine isn't going to because we've already reached the bare minimum of these ranges. But if you don't see as much snow, it's because you're replacing that all with sleet. Not that you're necessarily replacing it with rain. But this is all sleet, heavy sleet at times, especially towards Winchester, Frederick, and Leesburg. So this is not going away anytime soon. This sleet will be sticking around. Much of this storm is a wintry mix, as our messaging said. Down to the south, you can see where that freezing rain or ice glaze is. Let's continue this forward. This was noon. Let's take this forward towards about 1 o'clock. And you can see that it has the lower eastern shore and even far southern parts of St. Mary's County trying to mix with rain. Folks, again, I don't necessarily buy this. I mean, our model here is still saying that temperatures are maybe 30 degrees at most at this point down towards Scotland. I just don't know if you're going to push 19-degree air out that easily. Cold air is just so heavy. That's 1 o'clock. Let's take a look at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, continuing to look at wintry mixes, throughout the region. Sleet now building up towards Harrisburg. Again, showing as rain in southern Calvert and St. Mary's counties. I would be very hesitant to believe that. I think that's going to be much more like a freezing rain situation because surfaces are well below freezing. So that's just a general look at kind of what we got going on. Our modeling here has snow generally beginning to end, and well, not snow, but sleet, freezing rain beginning to end as we approach. This is 7, 8 o'clock. You can see you have freezing rain being shown as we head towards 8, 9 o'clock. Things really begin to quiet down. And I think that precip will shut off pretty quickly this evening. So by about 9 o'clock, things are coming to an end. Areas up north may be able to hold on a little bit to some snow on the backside, possibly. But a general look at forecasted snow totals out of our modeling. Areas here in purple would be your 6-inch line, and the pinks up here are going to be closer to your foot. So we will continue to watch that. The forecast that we've been putting out, again, this was what I was thinking for snow sleet start times, definitely running much earlier than what we had forecasted initially. But honestly, I just want to get you right over to that snow forecast. We have reached the bare minimum of these ranges for just about 90% of the people living in them south of Baltimore. That 3 to 6 zone, just about everybody in there has seen at least their 3 inches of snow and has now gone over to sleep. The I-95 corridor, 4 to 8 inches. You've already, many of you, achieved that 4-inch mark. Even in that 8 to 12 zone, I'm worried about the southern edge of that, so maybe from Frederick to Winchester, pointing south in the blue zone, to see maybe at least 8. But some of you have already seen your 5 or 6 inches, and you might be adding to that a little bit throughout this storm. But again, sleet's going to become the bigger issue as we begin to move forward here. Couple of questions coming in throughout the day. JB, when is going to be a good time maybe to get out and shovel this? And honestly, there isn't a correct answer here. You go out and shovel now before that sleet and freezing rain really starts. You're only going to be shoveling a powdery snow, but then you're going to allow an ice layer to form right there at the ground surface. You hold off though so that the ice is on top of the snow and not on the surface, which might be good to reduce slick conditions. However, you're then shoveling a heavy wet snow. And I do want to show you just quickly, I want to get this loaded up here, kind of what conditions are looking like on out towards, let's take you into California here, Lexington Park area. You can see kind of what we're looking at. This is 235 at 237. This is a road here. Completely snow and ice covered this morning. Earlier, for our 6 o'clock broadcast, we were looking at snow actively falling in this region. Snow has stopped. It is now just a sleet, which doesn't show up as easy. That's kind of why it's a little fuzzy a little bit to show you that sleet. But you can see where that's accumulating on the roads. It's take you on up to the 3-notch road and Route 4 interchange here, right there next to that Wawa. And you can kind of see what we're looking at with, snow-covered roadways. Definitely a healthy snow accumulation. Let's head on over towards Leonardtown near Newton Neck Road, Route 5, and you can, again, story remains the same. Now, I am interested, we can even take a quick look at the Thomas Johnson Bridge and just show you, that bridge is going to, anything that falls as potential rain will freeze right away on these elevated surfaces. Let's zoom it out just a little bit. Let's take you further north because we do have followers that are regional, not just Southern Maryland, even though I'm from Southern Maryland. We tend to think that the world does revolve around what we got going on. I want to see if I can find maybe something along further north of Baltimore, Washington Parkway potentially. Looks like we're striking out maybe a little bit, trying to find a good camera. Here you go, 100 at 170. You can see snow is selectively falling into that sleet mix, and you can see that accumulation on roadways. Plows, it looks like, haven't even really gotten to this part of Anne Arundel County just yet. I guess it's Anne Arundel over towards Severn. It's kind of near that. Northern Carroll County, you're looking at lots of snow on over that way. So we will continue to watch all that. I'm just showing you this to say lots of snow has fallen already this morning, especially for northern areas. Let's take you back here into this sleet forecast. I think we're looking at 1 to 2 inches plus of sleet. I mean, you could be looking upwards of 3 inches. In parts of Charles County, Prince George's, back through parts of central Virginia. I will be watching this freezing rain. Again, I'm hesitant to say that you're going to see rain, and I know a lot of those people that hope that my forecasts are wrong are saying, JB, there's going to be rain. I'm hesitant, given that it is 8:42 a.m. and the current temperature at Pax River is 20 degrees. It is 16 degrees at Andrews Air Force Base, while it's 33 over towards Ocean City, 22 in Salisbury. Those locations are not really all that far different. 22 Georgetown, Delaware, 25 Cape May, New Jersey. Further north and west, it is much colder, 14 degrees this morning, waking up for you in Gaithersburg, 12 degrees in Westminster. And up where I'm at, near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, waking up to a temperature of 10 degrees. So it is cold. It'll be hard to push this cold air out. Freezing rain will be a threat, and now I can kind of go back and show you. This is what we're going to be tracking throughout the day here. When we look at the atmospheric column, honestly, it really is about 11 or 12 miles into the air. But what we're really concerned with is the bottom 20,000 feet, which, a mile is what? We're still talking a pretty sizable bit here. But when you can get that entire column of air, all 20,000 feet below freezing, you're all snow. When it's all above freezing, you're going to melt that initial snowflake from the cloud base into a rain droplet. You're going to see sleet and freezing rain when your surface temperatures are below freezing, but maybe 5 to 10,000 feet above your head, so about a mile or two into the sky. You're looking at temperatures that briefly go over freezing to maybe like a 36 to 40 degrees. That will take that snowflake and melt it into a raindrop. The difference between sleet and freezing rain is that then it re-enters a much larger cold pool on its way down to the surface, so it can refreeze into that ice pellet, whereas freezing rain, that cold pool is so close to the ground that you are going to be looking at that raindrop surviving that trip all the way down, but then just freezing on those surfaces. Genuinely, freezing rain, it clings. It's like glaze on a donut. We've been using this for a couple days now, and so have a couple of these other weather outlets. And that is what is bad for power outages. And this freezing rain is what we're going to start to transition to as we approach the lunchtime hour here. So over about the next 3-4 hours. Some of you already have seen some freezing rain. Sleet right now is pretty much region-wide. It pings. It does accumulate like snow, just at a much slower rate because they're small ice pellets. But you struggle to get traction on the road because, if you think of like sprinkles on a donut, you're not going to move them out of the way too easily. And if you have toddlers, they end up everywhere, both the toddler themselves and the sprinkles. So that's what we're going to watch there. Again, sleet, this is your freezing rain potential. I'm still favoring up to about a 1/4 inch of freezing rain for many locations. I think some spots in central Virginia, maybe into southern Maryland, could say as high as a 1/3 to 1/2 inch of ice. And that's going to start to spread power outage concerns. And this is really going to be focused through the rest of today. Those areas in red there could be widespread outages. By widespread, I'm talking 40 to 60% plus. So let's say 5 in 10 customers in those regions could be without power because you're looking at ice accretion that has lasted so long, and trees are heavily loaded, as are power lines. Numerous power outages for much of the region, maybe like 3 in 10 customers without power in the orange zone. And this could affect clusters as kind of communities as a clustering whole. And this is where, the outages could last hours. I'm hesitant to say outages will last days. I am not expecting anything remotely close to the ice storms of the early 90s. When last 12, 13 years when I've been forecasting, that tends to get brought up. And my mother, she had just moved down to southern Maryland from New York in 1992. So she was there for all of those early icing events, and I've heard all the stories. It is really difficult to get ice like that. That was about 1 to 2 inches of freezing rain over a couple days. We're not looking at that, so I don't think we're looking at you'd be without power for 3-4 days. However, you could be without power for a few hours, upwards of 12 to 24, and with temperatures as cold as they are, that's going to create issues. This was the impact forecast I made earlier. If anything needs to change here, it's just that the snow window really is compressed. That transition to sleet has already occurred for many locations. Southeastern zones, you got all the snow you were going to get. It's just that northern areas may be robbed a little bit of some snow, but you're going to be adding sleet onto that. That ice glaze will really be an issue throughout the afternoon as temperatures kind of hover there in the upper 20s, lower 30s. Wind gusts really will be the issue to watch, though, in addition to freezing rain. But if you can get those winds gusting upwards of 20, 25 miles per hour, not necessarily fast by imagination, but that could promote the idea of outages, right? And travel will be very difficult this morning. Let's take you back on over to live William Richmond Inc. radar, see kind of what radar is showing for you right now as we approach 9 o'clock. And we are seeing, I mean, let's put some of this back into motion here, get a nice viewpoint, and we can see where the snow sleet mix really is. You've really held on to that sleet. Now you've gone over to entirely all sleet in southern Maryland. Again, temperatures 19, 20 degrees. But we are looking at snow reports coming in, and if you have snow reports, I'm very interested to see what they are. Make sure you're getting a couple measurements. Latest snow reports coming in would suggest 4 inches in Prince Frederick. I mean, you can see this as I click on top of them. Let's head over towards Hughesville, 4.1 inches. Over towards Port Tobacco, 3.5. Ridge has that 2-inch report. Mechanicsville coming in with about 3. DCA coming in with 3.4 inches of snow. Annapolis coming in with about 5. Parts of Montgomery County, 4.5 to 5.7 for Loudoun County, Virginia, 5.1 with some followers out there. Westminster reporting 4 inches, 3.6 towards the state line. Even up for my York, PA followers, 1 to 3 inches common. Harrisburg reporting 4 inches. The airport down there in Middletown, 3.2. Near Carlisle, 3. So we've seen a decent bit of snow, but even just zooming out, you can see this storm is nowhere near done. Let's take some of these storm reports off and just put this in motion here. We have a long way to go. The baggage of this precip right now is through Arkansas and Louisiana, and there's a lot of snow, sleet, and freezing rain that all will need to be working to the north here throughout the course of the day. That's why we're talking a long duration event. We're rocking out probably till about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. And we'll continue to watch it. I mean, the National Weather Service has highlighted. Let's get those loaded up. Yeah, Mesoscale, there we go. Has highlighted this region from DC points north as their heavy snow zone for right now. I will preface that and say that southern parts of that zone have already started mixing with sleet and freezing rain. Granted, the National Weather Weather Prediction Center's discussion says that heavy snowfall with rates around 1 inch an hour is expected to continue to develop for parts of the upper Ohio Valley eastward to the northern mid-Atlantic this morning. Latest radar imagery shows widespread snowfall ongoing in this region. This is occurring along a broad zone of strong atmospheric forcing, aided by some warm air advection kind of getting into this system. So this is going to result in heavy snow across Pennsylvania, northern Virginia, eastward to New Jersey, and far southeastern New York, with snowfall rates upwards of an inch or so an hour. And that it definitely makes sense with kind of what we are seeing across the region. Let's take it back here, though. Again, generally so far, 2 to 4, 3 to 6 inches for many. If you have questions, I'm definitely here to answer them. And I'm interested to see these snowfall reports. Looks like Stevens reporting 4.2 inches of snow out towards Waldorf. The reason I'm disappointing for the amount of snow we got, just barely enough to do anything in the snow. The reason, honestly, that was kind of always the forecast here. Not much, like this. I would love an all snow event. I would love a double-digit snow. This just wasn't going to be that storm, but we'll see. We'll see. Kind of how the rest of the winter plays out. Let's see. Tuning in from Leslie says, Caitlin, I have some disappointed kids this morning, about 2 to 3 inches, being generous in spots and already a wintry mix of snow and sleet. Caitlin, that's definitely interesting. It seems like general reports of 2 to 4 inches are common through that part, at least what's been reported to the National Weather Service. But my apologies, it's already over to sleet this morning. But, we'll see. Beth wants to know freezing rain. We probably transition over to that freezing rain. I'm modeling. Let's take you on over here. Again, I think our modeling's a bit too slow, so I would honestly take almost 2 to 3 hours off here. This has sleet, 11 a.m. takes 3 hours off is right about now, which makes sense. But we start to see rain pushing, which really would be freezing rain, 2 p.m. Shaving off 3 hours would be about 11 a.m. for parts of southern Maryland. Megan wants to know how many days we'll be out of school. It really depends on where you are. I definitely think tomorrow is not a school day for anybody in the Mid-Atlantic, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware. Impacts will probably linger into Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm hesitant to say that there will be closings. I mean, I think northwest of DC schools will be closed Tuesday, potentially Wednesday. Southeast, probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. If for nothing else, we are going into the cooler with temperatures struggling to get much above 25, 26 degrees for the next 7 days. Amanda's saying about 1.5 inches of snow in King George. I'm seeing 2.5 inches potentially out towards that region. But, you know, I'm not down there, so I can't say for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely towards the beginning parts of these forecast periods. I mean, if I take you over to what that graphic showed, this is what we published yesterday. 6 to 8 a.m. definitely was kind of on point for southern zones, but that moved much quicker. I mean, that 6 to 8 purple zone probably could should have extended northward up to DC, and then that blue zone probably could have replaced the green zone and kind of so on from there. So we'll see. Annapolis here, ice pellets have started, which kind of makes sense with the way that radar is depicting that sleet line with that correlation coefficient. So thank you for the report, Susan. Happy to see you, Jamie from Leonardtown, Solomon's and Lesby in the chat. Hello, Leah. Christina, California. I took my nephew out to start plowing giant and Target parking lots at 6 a.m. Not your favorite drive? I believe that. Tarum reporting 4 inches in Prince Frederick. It's definitely still snowing in Leonardtown and mixing with sleet. Probably have about 4 inches in Leonardtown. Very, very interesting. 4.2 in Waldorf. Yeah, so we are seeing, widespread snow and sleet impacts. 4 inches in Edgewater, but sleet is beginning to mix in. Lynn, we are not ready to forecast the system for next Friday. We saw what happened with this system, with people hoping for 2254, and are not the. I think the big range. But we're looking 1 to 2 inches of sleet, and then eventually up to of ice glaze. Northwest of there, you're looking at least half a foot of snow, and I think that's already fallen for many zones. But up to 3 inches of sleet in that area as you hold on to sleet for hours, and potentially even freezing rain. And then that snow dominant region is kept well up to the north and west. But I think that just about does it for me right now. I'm here in the Weather Center throughout the day, continuing to track all of this. Again, we are going to be sitting